Okay, so today we are going to look at the AudioLayer sampler app, which is currently on sale and turns out works pretty well with breath control with the EWI. So we're going to go start to finish with a setup inside AUM using AudioLayer as an AUV3. We're going to add an audio track channel. We're going to search for AudioLayer, add it, and we're going to select my Panda Audio MIDI beam, which is what the EWI is connected using as a controller, and we'll bring this up, and I've got the virtual playing orchestra woodwinds. We're going to do all woodwinds solo sustain as our sample set, and right out of the box we can hear that it will respond to the EWI, but definitely some tweaks that we want to make to make it respond better. So over here we're going to tap this little button to bring up these menus. We're going to go to Instrument Scope. I'm going to turn on monophonic mode for lead sounds. So it gets rid of that polyphonic lag that would eventually be creating some weird echoes that we don't want. I'm also going to take the pitch bend, set that to 2 semitones so that I can do a little pitch bend there. That's good. This portamento is tempting. I'm not seeing a way to map CC5 to portamento. You can set a static value for portamento if you want to have some glide, which is going to be unnatural for most sampled sounds. So I'm just going to leave that at the minimum for now, and I might contact Versin and see if there's a way to get that MIDI mappable. But that's a good beginning point right now. Now, I'm going to point out that there's a couple other places where it's really tempting that breath control shows up as an option for some of these parameters in here having to do with the LFO and the filter and whatnot, but I'm not seeing the traditional mapping that would allow us to map a breath directly to the filter cutoff inside AudioLayer, and even if we did, it seems like the built-in filter is very zippery, as is often a problem with EWI, so I'm not going to do that. I am going to look here in the level tab, and I can see that mod wheel is mapped by default to this level envelope LFO, and I'm going to instrument scope, and I see that mod wheel is there. I'm going to set it to 100% sensitivity, and I'm also going to crank up the rate on this LFO considerably, because with mod wheel on my upper pitch bend plate, I'm going to use that as kind of a flutter effect, flutter tongue effect. I think I need it to be even a little bit faster, maybe not quite. Yeah, that'll work once we get some reverb on it. So now we've got it responding to notes and pitch bend, and it's in monophonic mode. We don't have it responding really well to breath for level or intensity. We're going to use the classic technique of adding inline filter, and one of the simplest and least expensive ones is this F16, and we're going to make sure that MIDI beam is controlling it. We're going to come down here and find frequency. We're going to learn that to breath. All right, so we've learned that to CC2 for breath. And then we'll also put a nice reverb on here. A really good one that's popular among EWI players is Eos2. We don't need quite the 50% mix that it comes on by default, so we'll back that off a little bit. Now let's hear how that sounds. So now we have a very responsive EWI sample-based, and it runs the entire range, the 8-octave range of the EWI, because it has flute in the upper range and lower woodwinds in the lower range. This technique will work equally well for most sample sets that you would load. I didn't do anything with velocity layering. This particular sample set doesn't have velocity layers, so I'm just sending a fixed velocity. We could mess with that in the future, but already with relatively low maintenance setup here, we've got a workable model, and especially if we were to blend it with other sounds, it can create some really interesting textures.